So Doom, there's a lot of opinions about Doom. But aside from all of that, one of the biggest controversies happening with Doom right now is about the physical editions of Doom. And the reason why it's a big deal is because obviously all the backlash that Nintendo faced recently with the fact that a lot of their games are going to be key cards. They're not really going to be, they're going to have like 5 megabytes of data on the card, and then the rest you have to actually download once you plug it into the system. So they're not really physical edition games. They're just like, they're fake cards essentially. Doom is suffering the same exact thing. A lot of people were basically talking about that they canceled pre-orders for the physical edition because of it. So essentially what happened is Doom, if I'm not mistaken, has about 85 megabytes of data on the disc, and then the rest has to be in one massive download when you put the disc into the system. So essentially, you're not actually buying a physical edition of the game, even though you have the disc. You cannot play the game just from the disc alone. So basically, they went the Nintendo route, which had a lot of people saying, "What the fuck? Like, what's going on with that? Why would you do that?" So I'm bringing up the article here. Yeah, so it's 85 megabytes of data on the disc, and you you have to do 85 gigs of download in order to play the game.
Is that 1,000 times more or 10,000 times more? It's a lot more.
It's a lot more. So essentially, people are pissed because you have physical media that's obviously dying little by little, especially in gaming. And when people think to themselves, "Oh, good, I get to have a physical edition of Doom: The Dark Ages," this is not what they're thinking of, right? This is not. They're not thinking they're going to get a disc that has little to no data on it, and then they have to download the game anyway. So this is a big problem. It's a big problem for physical collectors and people that like to have physical editions just overall of their video games. So, I mean, what are we thinking about this? Is this going to be the new... I'll ask you this question and maybe we could go into it. Is this how the gaming industry slowly transitions to digital only? Instead of just going straight digital only, like instead of just removing all the physical right away, is this how they slowly start to get people to accept it by giving them little to no data on a physical disc? And then the next round, they just go full digital only. Do you think this is... Because that's what I'm thinking, but do you think this is how they do that?
Yes.
I wouldn't be surprised if they start going that route.
I mean, I could elaborate a lot more. I had a video a couple of years ago that dove into the... What's that?
Elaborate, please. Sorry.
Well, I feel like it's an issue that the companies are all facing. That, yes, of course, they want to take away your rights and stuff like that. They want to have full control. But the other problem that's facing them is the cost of storage and the lack of ability of these developers to make a cohesive product and keep the storage to a usable amount. It's gotten so out of control that when a Blu-ray disc first came out, people were saying, there's no way a game would ever be big enough to fill that.
I remember that in a magazine, by the way.
Right? And then they got to, now there's 2 Blu-ray discs and they're filling both of them. And now they're getting to the point where they're going to need 4 Blu-ray discs to fill. I'm like, their problem is twofold. One, they want the power and they don't want you to be able to sell your used games to other people. They want everyone to buy them. But twofold, they don't have a storage solution financially viable enough to make sense. So I feel like no matter what, it's headed digital, and it's going to only hurt customers because it gives us less power by going that route.
But conversely, let me ask this. I'm not really pushing back on what you're saying, but conversely, the games may not fit on these discs, but God damn it, motherfucker, it costs so much to get expansive storage for your computer, or Lord forbid your goddamn Xbox. Because what was the price?
That's not their problem.
Fair enough.
Simple as that.
They don't care. And
their
you know what? I'll give you one more. They sell their own branded storage to make a premium off of it too.
Yeah.
Somebody
I think the Xbox card that was like $200. I think it was just for the card.
Yep.
Going to Series X.
I remember the other day we were trying to guess how big GTA 6 was going to be. Some of you guys were like 200 fucking gigs, or
I was going to say it's probably around 200. I wasn't here for that conversation, but I was just going to say around 200 would be my guess.
I fucking hope not. It's that much. That's ridiculous.
I forgot who said what I'm about to say. I know somebody in the industry said it. Some like bigwig said it, but basically he admitted to like what Smash is saying, that a lot of modern day developers are so focused on the game design aspect and having no time to complete that most of them forget about file compression and trying to
Optimize
fit everything into, an optimized state.
Yep.
It's unbelievable what some of these games. I still remember when I don't remember which Call of Duty it was. I want to say it's Modern Warfare, the remake.
I remember this story vaguely.
One of them was like 120.
Yep.
I just remember looking at it and buying the game and looking at the download and looking at Steam and seeing 120 or something gigs like that. Yep. I don't remember which one it was. I'm like, what the fuck? Call of Duty game is 120 gigs. What the fuck is in this game? Is it like a 60-hour campaign?
Wasn't that at the time when the systems came with 250 gigs or 200 gigs, where like literally filled up?
It was like 500 gigs or so. It would take up one fourth or fifth of your fucking.
No, because the operating system takes up a bunch of that too. So it really is like 1/3 of the storage is that game.
It was insanity, bro. I was like, there's no fucking way. That is nuts. And then fucking Stalker 2. Stalker 2 is 155.6 gigs.
Jeez. I feel like the only company that cares about optimizing storage is Nintendo, and they've always been very good at it. But outside of
because they had to be, because they were sticking to the cartridges. That's
right. But now that they don't have to, it makes you wonder if they're going to care, or if they can see it as a business opportunity of, let's make
I think for them, their games are, because a lot of it has to do with obviously graphical fidelity, a whole bunch of nonsense like that. It's like their games are not really that hardcore like that.
No, but they're not, but they're still way lower gigs compared to even on the same system than the competitors.
Yeah, but so were these games on the PS4, which is what they're competing against with the Switch too. So this is pretty similar. Like
no, but I'm saying like they would optimize them on the Switch compared to like an EA game or a Square Enix game. A Nintendo file size would be like 1/5 of the size. It wouldn't make sense.
I mean, at the end of the day, bro, this shit's getting out of hand. It's getting out of hand with the file sizes, and it's only a matter of time, bro. Like GTA 7 is gonna be 1 terabyte. I don't know, bro. It's fucking. There's no need to imagine. It seems to be going that route. But in any case, this is it's a big problem, and it goes to show that the death of physical media is upon us. It's and people are trying to fight it. I think Limited Run Games just had one of their guys leave the company. Well, I don't think we know why officially, other than maybe a little bit of drama internally.
That was I was actually chatting with him today. That's Doug Bogart, co-founder. He left a couple of years ago, but he's talking about it now. About how he feels like they contributed to the downfall of physical media based off of outbidding the companies themselves for producing the games. And then the companies were like, well, fuck, we don't even need to pay for making the games anymore. We'll use these smaller companies to do it, just to kind of filter it out to make it smaller and smaller and smaller, to the point of now it's like, just make it digital now.
Yeah. So they basically feel like they kind of help that kind of speed up the process for like digital only. Yeah, I guess. Which is ironic considering their name, Limited Run Games. Right. But anyway.
Right. But I would counter, and I said this when I talked about it last night too, is I'm sure they contributed to it. But at the same time, if Limited Run Games never existed, this model was due. Somebody was going to come in and do it, and it was going to happen. I don't feel like there was another way. So it sucks. I don't agree with it. I don't like it, but such is life sometimes, it feels like.
Yeah. Another quick topic for Doom, just out of curiosity, I want to get your guys' opinion. This game's getting cooked, bro. I mean, I don't know if you guys have seen
the numbers are wild, dog.
What the hell is going on with it?
Low.
So the game's getting fucking cooked, man. But Doom, the previous Doom hit a little over 100K concurrent. This game is 1/3 of that.
Was the previous one on Game Pass as well?
No.
Now I wonder.
There wasn't Game Pass when it came out.
Game Pass is such a wild card with games right now.
No. People are not. Game Pass is not affecting this game. If Game Pass didn't affect Expedition 33 or Persona 3 Reload or anything like that, it definitely goddamn didn't affect motherfucking Doom. Like, I'm sure there's like a 10% margin of error or something.
The difference being Doom. Well, hold on. The difference being Doom is a full-priced $70 game. Expedition 33 first week was $45, so it was a little bit more digestible to be like, should I sign up for Game Pass or just buy the game?
I know it's for different reasons, folks, but Doom does have a precedent for this. in a 10, 11-year cycle, it went from being the hottest game out there to being put on a shelf for quite a long time. And we could see a similar cycle here. I think Doom as a franchise has had its time to shine, and it's had its time to fade away. And maybe, just maybe, this game, put it on a shelf, and then
I don't agree with this.
That's
bullshit.
That's bullshit.
I'm playing the game
out here in the comments saying Doom is a niche game, bro. Doom is one of the most iconic franchises.
Yeah, Doom is definitely not niche at all. This is a worldwide phenomenon type game. But I was gonna say,
games like Doom are called Doom clones. It's got a whole subgenre.
It's a genre that it created. Yeah. But I was just gonna say, like, I'm actually like really enjoying my time playing the game. So I'm genuinely confused as to why it's just not.
I mean, I have a couple opinions on why it's not performing well. But Atreus, you wanted to say something? No. Okay, I guess not.
Sunrise, Smash, and Sunset.
I would say, I think there's a couple things affecting this. Number one, the PC specs. Pretty high up there. They're not exactly lightweight. And number two, I mean, yes, Doom is loved. Doom is obviously iconic, not to take Riri's word. But at the end of the day, it still came out a few weeks after two of the biggest releases that we saw that were also on Game Pass. I think what we're seeing is that, and this is what people don't realize, well, by people, I mean like a lot, usually the haters, the shills, whatever. Money's tight, man. Like people, not everybody's rich out there. People need to make choices. They need to make decisions. And you had Expedition 33 come out. A lot of people chose to buy that. But then you also had Oblivion Remake come out in the same week. And a lot of people chose to buy that too. So now a couple weeks later, a third game comes out that's full price when two $50 games drop. They give double the amount of content. And people are like, you know what? Maybe I'll save that for Game Pass. You know,
that's a really good point, and I feel like that speaks volumes to the ironic argument that we've been having about game prices going to $80 when you just countered that perfectly, saying, "Yeah, no, games are doing just fine not doing that. The games that will go to that price are the ones that are going to be kneecapped."
Right. That's exactly it, bro. Like, why would you pay full price for a Doom game that I complete? What's my playtime on Doom? And I did a lot of side content too.
20 hours now, right?
Let me see. I'll tell you right now. And I played it for another 2 hours the other night, so I got to take that off when I look. So if we look at Doom the Dark Ages, so I got 17.5 hours in this game. That means I beat this game in 15 hours. Okay, 15 hours for a $70 game versus 30 to 60 hours for a $50 game, and that's Expedition 33. We're not even going to talk about Oblivion. But Oblivion, you can fucking live in that game. Yep. So you got two of those games for $50 each versus $70 Doom that I beat in 15 hours.
Real quick.
Does anybody else have any theories as to why this game is failing, or are we pretty much in the agreement that it's just...
I think you nailed it with the price. I wasn't really thinking about that because it was gifted to me, and I'm like, it's a fun game. I don't know why people aren't playing. It's like, oh yeah, the $70. That would stop me from playing it first week. So
this game reminds me of that Mission Impossible movie that released around a similar time to Barbie and Oppenheimer.
Dead Reckoning?
That's what it reminds me of.
Seems like a lot of people in chat are saying price is a big thing, and I think people are really overlooking that.
I wonder if this came out. Well, the last one came out at what, $60?
Yeah.
So think about that too. This is now a $10 jump from that. So
I just think that people are making for all intents and purposes. And listen, I love Doom. But people are making the smart consumer choice, in my opinion, which is if they had to decide. If they had out of these three games, right, they had to spend their hard-earned money on the one that was going to give them most value. I don't think Doom is the one. No, you know, out of the three, it's either Expedition 33, Oblivion.
Depending on the style game, you're right.
It depends on the player. Like if you have somebody who doesn't fuck with RPGs, then obviously they're not going to look at the other two, and then Doom is going to be the choice, which is probably these people, right? But if you have people who are open to RPG style games or maybe want something a little more open world like Oblivion, that's probably their decision, and they'll spend their money on that. And then the other two, they'll Game Pass, right?
I almost feel like Doom is one of those games where the people that would play Elder Scrolls would also be playing Doom, but the people that play Doom would not also play Elder Scrolls. You know what I mean? So it's almost like a smaller group of people of the pie.
I think I get what you're saying. Yeah, I think I get what you're saying. But
and why not just wait for a sale? If those other games are cheaper and you want to play them, why would you pay $70 for this?
This isn't just a
I want to add to
disappointment.
this. It's not about. This doesn't really indicate why the game is failing, but I did make a video about this, and I feel fucking vindicated. So I'm gonna bring it up. A couple months ago, talked about the how the difficulty in the game, things of that effect. You know, about how they made this big marketing and advertising about the difficulty, how you're gonna be able to make it easy, things of that. And I made a video fucking roasting that shit. And it got a lot of views, and it got a lot of downvotes. I got a lot of shit in the comments. People call me anti-woke grifter, saying I was wrong. Doom's always this, that, and the other. Well, lo and behold, for the people that have bought Doom, the sentiment that I see on X from a bunch of motherfucking Doom fans, this game was too easy, bro. So I just want to say, fuck you, I was right. People are
to be
upset
fair,
about the
there's a lot of adjustability. Go ahead, Ryan.
I'd just like to add, though, looking at these figures so far, and from what I've seen playing of the game, I've enjoyed playing the game. Okay, from my perspective. But looking at these figures right now, this isn't just a disappointment. To me, this is a fucking disaster. Yep. Especially comparing actual disasters like Shadows and Veilguard. Mm-hmm. And this is below even that.
Half?
What's their release price?
No, guys, I think this has a clear explanation, and I don't think it's none of that what you guys named. George Torch was right. This game is woke. And that's the reason why.
My God, Atreus has joined Fandom Pulse. Breaking news, everyone. After getting felted by Kada, joining Geeks and Gamers, Atreus has now joined Fandom Pulse.
What the fuck does him joining Geeks and Gamers have to do with anything?
I don't know,
He
man.
just wants to throw that in your face.
imagine you guys breaking up like a bad couple.
No, he's going to break up with us first.
Oh.
Probably. Any other
anyways, to a trace.
No, wait.
I'm not being fucking serious, dude. Jesus Christ!
Had a whole,
everything I said.
Like you always have the weirdest shit that fucking not.
Because I'm like, fucking weird.
If it was
his
fucking
reading glasses,
funny, maybe
Bible's worth the insults for him. He's just like, all right.
No, you want to talk about weird? How about you go look at what 8-Bit Eric posted on Twitter that I can't even show?
Yeah, the t-shirt.
Bro, I think I just stumbled across it. Talking about the whole like.
Yeah, I'm talking like you should like. What the fuck is that, bro? Like
you know what that's referencing, right?
I know what it's referencing. I'm just it's like I don't need. I'm gonna block him. Basically, is what I'm saying. I don't need to see this shit on my timeline. Anyway,
but what did Veilguard get? 72,000.
89.
89. Yikes!
Veilguard did 89. Yeah,
I was expecting first weekend.
Shadows got I think 69.
What's that?
64.
I was expecting Doom to not double, but get like 1.5 times. So I thought it was going to jump from like 25 to 30 to like 45 on first weekend. Like this is like yikes! This is really underwhelming.
A lot of people were thinking easy 100K because that's what the last one did.
Oh
I
no,
was too.
I
was
thought
it was at least 80 to 100K.
I was thinking going into it that. But after the launch, I was just like, okay, now that we know what it is, at least the first weekend it's going to go up. It's not even doing that. This is
I got to
crazy.
be honest with you. We also tend to forget. We make the mistake, and it's probably because, Doom's AAA, so we're probably trying to compare it to what should seemingly be other AAA games, but really they're not if you look at the price and everything. But anyway, we forget that there's more out there that is very popular. That is not just Expedition 33 and Oblivion as well. I mean, people are making decisions. They only got enough money to buy XYZ amount of games. They're gonna buy the ones that give the most value. And unfortunately for Doom, it's just not there. As much as I love Doom, I'm like I said, I'm a little bit faster than most when it comes to Doom. So don't take my 15 hours to heart, but maybe average of 20 hours. That's what I'm seeing. A lot of people. It's not that far behind. A lot of people are getting 18 to 20 hours of content, which is why they're probably looking at it as a Game Pass game because they're like, all right, well, this is an easy pickup kind of game. Play it, beat it on Game Pass, be done with it, move on. Versus a game where you're going to invest so much time into like Expedition 33, Oblivion, and whatnot. People just rather play that kind of game on Game Pass. I think that's what Game Pass is made for. It's made to give you those kind of experiences. You know what I'm saying? I'm a little sad because again, like Doom, great franchise, but I just think there's so many things that are happening right now. with the combination of the pricing and the fact that it released so close to 2 cheaper, bigger games in terms of scope and size, I just think it completely got overshadowed. And the funny thing is, Expedition 33, they thought that game was going to be overshadowed by Oblivion, and it ended up overshadowing Oblivion almost, right? In terms of overall sales, maybe not concurrent player numbers, but because obviously the shadow dropped, there was a lot of hype behind it. So we got a really high concurrent player count. But I think in overall sales, I think it's pretty close. And considering it's their first game, that's pretty impressive for a legacy, comparing to a legacy game like Oblivion. So,
I wonder about Doom: The Dark Ages on if they're going to turn a profit on it. Like, I don't know how much they put into it, but these numbers.
Looking at this Smash, it looks like a certifiable failure.
Yeah. I think they'll make their money.
I don't think their budget is as high as you would probably think, because a lot of assets are reused. A lot, especially enemy types. A lot of assets are reused. So I don't think it's as high as you probably think. To be honest with you.
True.
But also, as of right now, it most likely is a failure. As of right
now. Also, I think because this is Bethesda. I also think that Microsoft probably covered whatever their cost is, so they may not even be worried about sales. I mean, on one end, it looks bad because it doesn't seem to be selling well on Steam, but on the other end, it's a very compelling reason to subscribe to Game Pass, especially considering the 3 games that we're talking about are all on Game Pass. So it's like, why if you really penny pinching, why pay for any of them?
Exactly.
Well, no. That's why you don't do Game Pass, because you got to pay every single month on it. Whereas you can just buy Oblivion outright and play it for months on end.
Bro. Yeah, but Game Pass is like what, $12 a month?
No, 18.
15. It's $15.99.
18 bucks. So you pay $18. Even if you got 2 months, you ain't even hitting $40.
But, I mean, even still,
you got a lot of time in your hand. You can beat all 3 of these games. I'm with the Atreus.
Even if you fine, I'll pay for Game Pass for 2 months, beat Expedition, beat Doom, and then buy Oblivion. Cancel my Game Pass. Either way, those are 3 really big, high-profile games that have been.
Yeah, that's true. I think you're right with what Hypnotic was saying about 15 hours into this game. That really is more of a Game Pass game. If you're gonna play 15 hours, you're not gonna spend $70 on a game.
And keep in mind, all 3 of these came out on Game Pass.
Yeah. And here's the other thing I just checked too. id Software has between 51 and 200 employees. It's privately held.
Yeah, they're not worried about no sales.
So they are probably turning a profit on this.
Yeah.
It's no
as a matter of fact,
20,000
they probably turned some AI on and said, "Hey, just turn Doom internal. Just add a sword, some Gundam."
Well, there was this whole controversy on how I think it was Bethesda or id Software done their composer dirty and like threw him under the bus or something.
Oh yeah, it was a big problem.
Oh shit! I gotta go.
We're finishing up this segment. We're finishing up. So.
All right, I just like to make one more point, though. Optics-wise, this looks like a catastrophic failure. Maybe financially, it's perfectly fine, but if you're getting less peak player base than Shadows and Veilguard, to me, it's an embarrassment.
Neither were on Game Pass.
Game Pass can't be used as a fucking defense when Expedition 33 and Obsidian.
You're right.
Was it Obsidian? Oblivion. Ugh.
You're right. You're right. But again, what Hypnotic said, $70. You know what I'm saying? All 3 of these came out on Game Pass. It's just the smart decision. So it doesn't look good. Because I'm not going to go back on what I said earlier. I agree with you. Where there were some people saying, "Oh, the games that we were roasting came out on Game Pass, and then we set precedent like Midnight, South of Midnight." Then this barely did better than South of Midnight. No, it did significantly.
It did about 5 times better. But
let me not say that. That's a little bit egregious. I'm grifting. But the point is, I just think that it's hard to look at this as a colossal failure when you take those into account. But you're right, though. I mean, we've seen games come out on Game Pass do 100,000 plus more. Hell, you brought up Stalker 2 earlier. Hypnotic that did over 100,000 on Steam. So, I mean, this is a mystery. To be honest, it's a fucking mystery. And unless we know,
didn't Avowed like peak at 14,000 or something? Looking back,
was it that high? 19,000, I think. 19,000, I think. Let me see. Yeah,
19,000.
Yeah. And look, the
I gotta go.